Right, back with another episode 5 of the MMA Lockdown podcast with my co-host Daniel, aka Donnie from London. How's it going today, Don?
It's all right, Jazz. Much of the same,
Much of the
getting things
same, yep.
open and locking down.
Just dreaming of being on the mat.
Yeah,
A
for
good
sure.
old day.
It's been a good while
Nice,
now. I
Don.
think like 3 weeks off the mats. Yeah, in London, it's been about 3 weeks off the mats.
Yeah, I mean, before this, what's the longest you've been off the mat, barring an injury?
No, you're asking the wrong person, bro, because I've taken some. This is why I'm
Some
still waiting for the
sabbaticals.
blue belt, man. I've taken some unearned sabbaticals, but yeah, I was on a good run before this freaking lockdown. So
Yeah, you and I both.
yeah, God doesn't want Tony Khabib to happen, and He doesn't want me to get that blue belt. So
I think there might be more chance of you getting that blue belt now, though. I mean, if the odds have anything to say about it.
yeah,
So we saw this morning, or at least it came out, or I watched it this morning, came out last night, is the interview with Khabib, which I thought was really cool because now you can actually hear the information from himself, not all kind of the, what's the word, kind of what people are thinking is happening or what they anticipate is going to happen. So basically, I'm sure a lot of people saw some snippets, but it seems like Khabib is still keen to make the fight happen. As he says, he just says to Dana, send me location. But it's going to be difficult for them to move around. But he's training twice a day, he said, and he wants to make it happen. He said he's got a feeling it's going to happen. What do you think? What did you make of that interview?
yeah, it was very interesting. You could definitely like sense his frustration. We said on the last episode, like nobody thinks he's ducking. Like Tony Ferguson, maybe Eddie Bravo thinks like the Earth is flat, COVID doesn't exist, and Habib is ducking. So I think we knew he wanted the fight, and it's pretty interesting to hear what he had to say. He said he told Dana he was leaving. He's pretty much stuck. He doesn't want to just get on a plane to somewhere not knowing where the fight's actually going to happen. It's totally rational. But he's like, if it can happen, I do want it.
100%.
And he's like, I could have fought. He sort of took a jab at Connor, saying I could have fought the chicken again, and it would have been even easier this time.
5 times the amount of money, but he doesn't. It's not about the money.
Exactly. So, yeah, interesting that the fight's technically not off. 15 days to go, world on lockdown, but nobody's called it off.
As some would say, keeping us on spilkers here.
Yeah, for sure.
It was weird because I thought from his Instagram post, it kind of meant like, I'm done. I'm back home now. I'm going to quarantine. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And then the interview, it seems like, as we've just said, he's still very much interested. So fingers crossed they make this happen. I don't know how. I know he said that Dana texted him at the time saying 99% somewhere in the UAE. So let's see. I mean, apparently he actually did land in the UAE, but he just couldn't get in. I don't know if it was in Dubai or where it was, but if if Khabib can't pull some strings there, it was a proper lockdown. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think he left under the auspices that it wasn't going to be in the States, and I think that Instagram post that did seem to be saying like, look, this fight, I'm not going to make it to this fight, was probably in response to Tony saying, he's been offered a private jet to the US. Whether that was actually a legitimate option or not, we don't know.
No.
But he was saying, like, I'm not getting on another plane, like, to fly around the world, not knowing where this fight's going to happen. And it did kind of come across as, you can't blame him. It came across as him saying it's off. But he seems to not be saying that. So
yeah. And I was also watching a little bit earlier some Adesanya highlights. I'm pretty excited to see him fight Paulo Costa. I mean, I was really disappointed with the Yoel Romero fight in him. I mean, I think not so much disappointed in Adesanya as I was in Yoel, at whatever 42 years of age, you would have thought he would have come out like a man possessed, just wanting to take off Adesanya's head. But he really was, as everyone's been saying, he came out, he just stood there, and he was kind of blaming Adesanya for running around, being Usain Bolt. But I think, as Dana said himself, Adesanya did what he needed to do. Why kind of spark the fire with a guy that has crazy knockout power when he can just stay on the outside, pick him apart, leg kick him to fucking pieces. And so, yeah, I feel like Paulo Costa, with all this build up, I mean, to throw him out the last event when he fought him, he was going so crazy from the sidelines. And I think he's going to bring the heat. Where would your money be on that fight? Who would you bet on if you were a betting man?
Yeah, I think my money is with Adesanya. I think he's really precise. I think Costa will come at him, and I think Adesanya likes that. Yeah, I mean, before we started the podcast, when we chatted about the Romero Adesanya fight, I'd said I was quite chuffed with myself on this one because I'd said I think it's going to be interesting because Romero doesn't really go for feints, and Adesanya relies so much on feints. I didn't realize that could lead to such a standoff, but a lot of what was happening was Adesanya looking to feint, and Romero just going like, "Bro, I'm not moving. Like I'm just shelling up." And that was part of the standoff. And then Adesanya realizing, look, I've got the reach. I can stand at range. I'll point him. Which,
right.
Like you, Jazz, I don't blame Adesanya for taking that approach, So, no, I just think Costa comes forward no matter what. I don't think he takes that kind of Romero approach. So if he's not coming forward, Adesanya has to rely on feints. But if he's coming forward, if he's going first, Adesanya can rely on counter striking. And I think he's just incredibly accurate.
For sure. And as Dana said, kind of Adesanya fights to the level of his opponent, So when he fought that Kevin Gastelum fight, he really upped his game because Kevin brought it to him. And I think he knocked him out at the buzzer of the fifth round there. So, yeah, I'm super excited for that fight. I don't think they have a date yet. Have you seen anything?
No, I don't. I haven't seen a date. I've seen some promos, but dateless. I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Paulo Costa brings the same amount of power, if not more, than Yoel. So at least like Adesanya's felt what it's like to be in the octagon with someone with that type of power. And he said it himself, once he felt Yoel's power, he really didn't want any of it. So can't blame him for that. I wouldn't want to get jabbed by that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think he took the right approach to that fight, and he wasn't running. He wasn't coming in. He wasn't being reckless, but he wasn't running.
Right. Yeah, Don. All right. Well, we said we're going to keep it short and sweet today, just touching on some of the highlights of the news and keeping a close eye on the Khabib and Tony fight, praying that it's going to happen. I still strongly feel like it's either Tony, Khabib, nothing, and postpone it. Khabib said in his interview, just to finish off that, the timeline with Ramadan, he would look to fight then again August, September, so he could take 2 months to train again. So I'd rather be patient and wait until August, September than see something like Tony or Gaethje or Tony and McGregor. I mean, obviously that would be great, but the true fans, the hardcore MMA fans want that Tony Khabib fight for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Waited so long, few extra months isn't going to hurt, and then you've got that added benefit as well of we don't know what the world's going to look like, but hopefully there's some sort of crowd in the arena when they do fight, even if it's a smaller crowd than it would have been.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe a couple of empty seats in between each person, or some strange post.
They need some fans though.
Yeah.
And there's been so much, all these awesome jits instructors putting out free content. One that I thought I'd share with you and our listeners that I've really been enjoying is SilverfoxBJJ. I first saw him in some of Faraz Sahabi's videos, and I just find his instructionals just so clear, so detailed. I love his technique. I don't know if you feel this, like you can listen to some instructors and it just doesn't sink in or doesn't connect, but then you listen to some and they're just like really resonates with you or just clicks in your mind. And that's kind of when I watch his videos, how I feel. So if you or any of the listeners haven't checked out SilverfoxBJJ, go ahead and check it out. It's also not too long, his clips, which I like. Some of the guys are putting out an hour and 30, and it's just like It's very long.
Yeah. I do feel sometimes you watch a guy and you're like, well, maybe it's about what level you're at as well. But I often find myself watching something and I'll be like, I need to understand like the 5 steps before that in terms of how you got there. I need to understand some of the principles in terms of like why you're playing this kind of game. And then other guys are just much more clear, much more, we've spoken a lot about this when we train together, much more about like
conceptual
concepts. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking for. Like conceptual approaches to jiu-jitsu rather than like your foot's got to be a little bit wider and you're like, okay, but I don't really understand why.
100%.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, check it out. You're right on the money with the conceptual stuff. I've definitely been looking more for concepts versus like very specific technique. And while we're talking about concept, there's a few awesome Kit Dale videos on concepts too, which I think I've shared with you in the past.
Yeah.
All right, Don, that was fun. Let's keep an eye on the news, see what's going on. Tomorrow, every day brings some new news and some more entertainment. And we'll definitely touch base tomorrow or the next day and bring out episode 6.
Sweet jazz.
All right, Don. Chat to you soon.
Cool. Ciao.